Listen, guys, I think that it's going to be just so much more rare for players with the changes in college basketball to stick with programs year after year when there's opportunities for them to leave, and we know how many opportunities there are. And I'm not knocking the guys that leave, but at Cincinnati, we're going to really celebrate the guys that stay around, and they play their last game of eligibility at home at Cincinnati. And David DeJulius has done that. And I know he didn't start here, but he could have left during the transition a couple years ago. He certainly is an all-league guy last year with the ability to leave and play right away, could have left. And he stuck with Cincinnati when he didn't have to and had other options. And he loves this place. He's invested. We are going to celebrate the heck out of those guys moving forward. And I think you build programs with guys like that, you take steps forward, and he's given his heart and soul. So I was thrilled tonight that our fans recognized him the way they did when he came out of the game. I just thought that was so special. We have this is just one of those special places in college basketball. Our people get it, like they get it, and that was a moment that he deserved. So I'm happy for him, and it didn't hurt that he goes with a career high 30 and plays the way he does. So really, really cool night for David DeJulius. Certainly you recognize guys like Kalu and Rob. It's not the same because they're here for 1 year, but it's still cool that they finished their eligibility here. And I told Rob I try not to let it creep in my mind, but I think about what it would have been like if, man, I could have had him every night, even had him when he came off the injury there, because he would have impacted our team in such a great way. And then Kalu, he's just really, really responded. And we talk about how we want to be a program that responds the right way. He's responded the right way to going through some major ups and downs. Not the year that he wanted, especially early, and not the role that we recruited him to play and he wanted early, but he kind of just kept fighting. And I thought his minutes tonight were terrific, especially in the first half.
Your relationship with Dave, it's a coach and a point guard, you being a former point guard. Can you talk about how that developed all the way to this point where he gets kind of that really bright moment in the sun at home?
Yeah, it's I told him this a month ago or so. We were having coffee across the street here off of campus, and Dave is not an easy nut to crack. You guys that covered him know that. I mean, it's been a lot of work trying to build a real, genuine relationship. He doesn't let everybody in, and trying to earn his trust. It's taken a lot of time, and it's made me a much better coach and a much better communicator. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I told him, I said, I really appreciate you've made me a better coach, because it ain't been easy every day. And so I value him in so many ways beyond just who he is on the court. And he's pretty damn good on the court. But how about the guy that he is off the court, and how he shows up for things that have nothing to do with name, image, and likeness to support things in this community? And now a lot of players are doing that now, but they're getting paid. He's just showing up at preschools and middle schools and mentoring kids, and shows up to work camp in the summer, stays extra hours to help kids out. I mean, he's really embraced all parts of living in this community. And so, there's a lot of neat things about him, but I am proud of the relationship that we've developed. And like any good relationship, it took some time.
You've done it before, but what does 20 wins mean to you?
Yeah, I do think you step back sometimes. It's not like I sit there coaching thinking about 20 wins. I coach, and I really challenge myself to think about getting better today and controlling what I can control. But if I sit back and dream, the things I dream about are national championships and conference championships and stuff like that. That's what I dream about. But I do think in the same token, you do step back and you go, okay, 20 wins in college basketball in the regular season, something, and it's progress. And I said that to our team and our staff. It doesn't mean that we're going to stop. We ain't satisfied, but I do think it's something. And I think six times now in coaching, I've been a part of teams that did that, and I am proud of that.
Front court depth was kind of a struggle earlier in the year. Now you have Vic, Odie, and Kalu all kind of going a little bit. Is part of that maybe a blessing of Vic's injury? And then does that give you maybe a little different dimension going into the tournament next weekend?
It is. It's like every there's a cause and effect to everything. Vic's injury was tough on our team in a lot of ways, and tough on him, but it gave Kalu some opportunity, and he's not only was prepared for that opportunity by how he's worked, but then he's gotten some confidence with that opportunity, and now he's able to impact the game, in different ways, and we saw that tonight. And now I think we're trying to get Vic back in the grind. It was hard tonight because I thought he'd be good tonight because he had a good week of practice, but the foul trouble hurt him, and I could have played him a little bit more with two. But I'll tell you what, guys, I got a lot of respect for SMU. It's going through the scouting now, playing them twice, and I wanted to make sure if we needed Vic down the stretch that we had him available.
Your team holds SMU to 34% shooting in the second half, allowed 48% in the first half. Is that kind of the adjustment from one half to the second half that you're looking for defensively, of being able to recognize that they're getting their spots and then taking that away in the second frame?
Yeah, honestly, it's really all we talked about from about the whole game. I mean, all we talked about the whole game was let's sprint back and let's defend our tails off, because I thought when we were doing that, good things were happening. We obviously had a good rhythm offensively. The ball was going in. And I thought early in the game, the ball was going in so well, it's almost like we didn't have the kind of defensive intensity, because it just feels like the game's going well. And I want us to get to the opposite mindset, that our defensive energy and intensity is what it is all the time, regardless of circumstance. And then I thought early in the second half we were a little lackadaisical and comfortable, maybe for a while there in the second half. But I did think down the stretch we got some necessary stops. They weren't the prettiest ones, but we finally got some stops. And you do look down and you go 34%, and that is what you want to see from a field goal percentage standpoint.
They were shooting it really well from three in the first half. Your guys.
Yeah, so I said I think we held SMU to 2 in the first half, if I'm not mistaken.
9 of 17 in the first half, but they didn't rest on it in the second half. Does that show growth from this team that, okay, SMU changed the way that they're defending, they're maybe trying to run us off the line, now we're going to play downhill, attack, score at the rim, and not settle for jump shots?
Yeah, I thought strategically the game was – I think that's what you're asking about, the strategy. I thought it was really interesting. They were really blitzing the ball screen early, like heavy on everybody. I thought we did a nice job of dealing with that and getting the ball out of our hands and sharing it, and I think we came by some really good shots. They go completely away from it and start dropping everything in the ball screen, and I think all of a sudden you saw us get downhill, and I thought that was a big emphasis. I thought we did a nice job a couple times in some of our handoff to ball screen actions to hit the roll, and then transition when we did get live ball stops, and I was begging for more and more of them. I mean, every time out, I'm telling you, all I was talking about was let's get stops. And then I thought when we got live ball stops and ran, and we didn't have a silly turnover, we had a couple silly ones, but I thought when we didn't have a silly turnover and ran, I thought we were getting downhill and getting to the rim in transition. So I think that's where you see kind of the discrepancy there, 3s to 2s.
Was moving phenomenally tonight, coming off a game at Memphis where you had 20 turnovers. You look down, see 20 assists, just 8 turnovers tonight. How impressed are you with the way the ball was moving on the offensive end tonight?
Yeah, I thought we had a good flow on offense. Again, as a coach, the turnovers always jump out to you more than the assists, just the way your brain works, because you just cringe every time you see one. And I'm still got the one where Dave just flings it across the court lackadaisically to start the second half, and Landers is trying to maybe do a little too much in the open floor versus sharing it. Like, those are the ones that you go, come on, and imagine how I felt at Memphis after 22. It's like I couldn't get it out of my head, for gosh sakes. But you do look down, and 20 is really good. And I think the lesson that we'll continue to preach to this team and show to this team and get this team to buy into is when we do our job offensively and we run and we get into the right spots and we just make the simple, obvious pass, we got really good players that then have an advantage that can make plays. When we try to do a little too much, everybody that watches us knows that's where we get into some trouble. And I thought we did a good job tonight for the most part of just making the simple play and letting the ball find the right guy.
Team looked pretty fresh today, obviously, with the week off. Is it good to have this now stretch and almost another full week off until Friday? Looked like things were kind of moving really well, especially in the first half.
Yeah, well, I do think you got to take advantage of opportunities. And somebody asked me in my press conference, do you like a week off or more? I don't get into it is what it is. Whatever's in front of you, take advantage of it. I thought our guys did a nice job of taking care of themselves, their bodies, and getting to work this week. We're going to have to do the same thing coming up this week to get ready for the conference tournament. I also think like Dan Skillings is taking a step as a player. I know he doesn't have a great line tonight, but the confidence to be able to have him in the game more and longer and later in the game, it allows us to get more rest for those other guys on the perimeter. And I think that's going to make us look a little fresher down the stretch of games too. So I thought, his development has impacted our team, even if you don't look down and go, what a night from Dan Skillings. And then we talked about the front court depth. I think the more depth you have, the fresher you're going to look throughout a 40-minute game.
Zurich Phelps, AC's leader in steals coming into this game, doesn't have one on the afternoon. Was that a big key of emphasis to your guards going into this matchup, of keeping an eye on him?
It's always a big key just to make the right play and be strong with the ball. And everybody in this league has length and athleticism and guys that can get after it. We didn't spend a ton of time talking about Phelps in that way. We spent a ton of time with Phelps talking about he's really damn good. Let's make everything tough. Because you look down, he gets 17? I mean, he gets 17, but you know he's going to get some. You want to see the 3 turnovers. You want to see the 6 for 15. Because you can't keep him all the way down. I mean, you saw tonight, he makes some plays, right? He's a good player. That's what we spent the most time with Phelps talking about.
2 more. Pulled out the Traff there right before half and got turnover and one on the other end. Does that tempt you to maybe unleash it a little bit more?
Justin, you just play into my emotions. You getting to know me pretty well. You guys all know I love that stuff. I love anything that takes away the comfort of the other team. And so – trapping and pressing and getting aggressive, that just plays to my personality as a coach. We could never do enough of that for me, but that hasn't been the best weapon consistently for this team. But it is something that we work on in practice, and we're getting a better understanding. Like that play, number one, I think it was Dave and Landers in the double team. They did a great job of forming a great double. And sometimes you spend time trying to form a double, but it's not an aggressive double. They formed it, and it was aggressive. We get the deflection. And the other 3 did a nice job of rotating on time. We've tried to press a little bit early. We weren't figuring that out with all 5 guys. So maybe it's something we can do a little more of, here in the postseason.
Couldn't dream it up much better than that.
Not at all. That was an amazing moment for everything to come into fruition like that, for sure.
You described walking off, you hit the 3, and not many people get that feeling where you can beat your chest for a second.
Those type things, no amount of money you can have to replicate that moment right there. Being such a special place in Cincinnati, a Fifth Third Arena, the best arena in the world, surrounded by great teammates and coaches that allowed me to be in the position I am right now. When I look back at, when I'm old at the end of my life, I'm going to hold that moment right there up high for sure.
Landers, as a teammate, what was it like to see him get to experience that and kind of be in the arena for it?
I told him earlier in the game, it's crazy we only got to play together for 1 year. Seeing him go to work behind the scenes to work on the scenes, it was a pleasure. It was an honor for me to be able to witness that. I'm not even going to lie. I just love being his teammate.
Could you have ever imagined when you got here 3 years ago that it would go the way that it did, and you could tell the ovation before the game meant a lot to you? And then you get to go out like that with the kiss of the sea paw and walking off.
Yeah, coming here throughout COVID, one of the most turbulent times ever. Through coaching changes, through different changes, and being where we were then to where we are now, 20 games, with so much more to grow as a program. It's an amazing feeling. And, I'm glad that I was here at this time during this 3 years through this pivotal change. I just pride myself not only just being a good player, but more importantly, leaving the program better than where I found it. So I'm glad the body of work and the environment that I've been put in.
Was there any different feelings today going into this game compared to any others as a Bearcat, or was it just kind of trying to keep everything in perspective going into this moment?
Yeah, it was early game, so we stayed in the hotel, so everything felt normal until I got here and just feeling the love. It kind of all hit me when I was contrasting before the game.
Growth that you feel like UC basketball has made from when you first got
Well, Coach West, is second to none in terms of his genuine love, and he embodies the fact that you can mix character and morals and ethics, and also be a big-time coach. And he the kind of coach, and he's newer, but at the same time, he old-fashioned in the sense that he want to grow the program organically. He want to be where players 10, 15 years from now be able to come back and be proud of the work they did. And sometimes it'll take longer when you do it that way because you're doing it the right way. But it's been a pleasure to play for him and just to see the growth from the program from when I first got here to now.
David, you've impacted this program in many ways, on and off the court. We've seen it here in the community with how you go out and get involved. Just talk about how special the city has been for you, obviously, making that transition.
This city is very special. They embrace me, and each and every day, I wake up with such a joy and gratitude to be here that I'm just overflowing with the fact that I just need to pay it back because the city have given me so much. Whether if I'm in there in Fifth Third, whether if I'm downtown getting something to eat, I just feel that love. And, I'm not entitled to that love, but they give me that love. So, not only now, but going forward for the rest of my life, I'm going to continue to pay it back and be a great alumni after this year is over.
David and Landers, every coach talks about wanting a full 40-minute effort in college basketball. Safe to say you played a full 40 minutes today. Why is that, do you think, both of you, so important going into the tournaments?
Sure, Dave. I just want to sit here and listen to you.
It's great. Well, one, win number 20 on the horizon, so that kind of is the elephant in the room. And when you have 20 wins on your record and you have a win going to the tournament, you build some confidence and you build some momentum. So that was crucial for us going into the game that we'll probably play Friday, I believe. And if we follow that with a great week of work, then we'll come in there prepared.
Landers, how much I remember going back into the summer, you guys were picking sides for a pickup game, and you were giving him the business about Memphis just running double teams at him and trying to take him off his game. How much has your friendship grown? And we've seen multiple times this year there are games where you're both neck and neck up into the 20s and scoring. We saw that again today. How much does he make you better?
Man, honestly, in an organization, to have somebody like him, like to push you every day, texting you, like keeping you up when you're going through hard times and just being there no matter what, even besides basketball, man, it's amazing. Like, he pushed me to be a better man on and off the court, and it's just, I'm grateful, man. I can't even lie to you.
Landers, the 97 points, was that as simple as shots were falling, or was there something you guys did different today on offense?
I feel like shots were just falling. I mean, the first times we played them, I feel like it was a low-scoring game in the 50s because the shots weren't falling, and today just showed the other side of what happened when our shots are falling.
So shots weren't falling in the second half, but you guys got to the rim and got points up that way. Was that just something organically, like, okay, they're playing us a little different, closing out harder, let's attack downhill?
Yeah, it's no point in just standing there to keep jacking them up if we're not making it, or if that's their game plan to run us off the line. Just take advantage of the situation in front of you and just try to capitalize on it.
Landers, having seen Dave's day today, is that something that might interest you in the next year?
Say it again, my fault. I'm sorry. What's the question?
Would you like to have Dave's day, like,
next year?
Next year.
Oh, man.
I mean,
I know.
Yeah, it's one of those silly things media
If I'm
does.
fortunate to get it long and have a great career like he did, and I would love to have the game that he had to go out of.
So you'll be back next year?
Undecided. It's undecided. It's in the air for sure, though.
Any other questions? Thanks, guys.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Thank you.